Hey guys, welcome back to another weekly developer update. And for this week, I'm back at my usual setup and I've got to work in Unity. So, I'll show you what I've done so far. So I've been back a few days. I've started working on the Orbit game I showed a few weeks ago that I created in a week. I've started working on that. So essentially, my my plans for the scope of this game are I'm thinking for now I'm going to try and create 5 decent sized levels, with each level having a theme or a new mechanic that's introduced. So for example, the first level would just be the basic planets and the black holes. I'll just run it just so you can see how the movement works. I've changed some things about the movement slightly, just how strong some parts of gravity are, as well as like how much the actual player weighs. There's a little visual glitch there. I'm not sure what's creating that. That's something I've noticed. But I've just been making little tweaks at the moment, and also I've started just completely redoing the art. So that's the new like planet art, new black hole, and then I created these little particles that I'll show you in a sec. Also for the player character, I've got the idea of changing it to be like a little like robot droid. So I'm thinking it's gonna be a little robot that's like got a wheel around the outside of it. So then it makes sense that it's like rolling around the planets. Just because I think for a game, I feel like it's just more in. I feel like a robot as the player just makes a bit more sense than it just being a basketball. Because the only reason it was a basketball to begin with was because I had to theme it around a song originally, which was Space Jam. Also, I just feel like a little robot is a bit more like recognizable or like marketable, I guess. Where like you see that and you're like, oh, it's a character rather than just a basketball. This is a basic concept of what I'm thinking. It'll probably just be this, but with a lot more detail and little changes. Like I'll add just like lines to show that it's like metal plating, like screws and bolts holding them together. And then for animation wise, I can probably have the like wheel round. I'll probably change the color of this wheel. So like for example, if I make it black, it looks a bit like like a tire. But I can probably animate this wheel so it will turn when you're moving. As well as, since it's got these two little eyes, I'll probably just make it blink like every 5 seconds or so. Like just every now and then it'll just blink. So that's the idea for the player. Other than that, as you can see over here, I've actually made the black hole look a lot better by I've created like a particle system all around the edge of the black hole that shoots particles into the black hole at like random sizes, speeds, and rotations. And then I used that black hole particle I created as the actual like particle for it, and I think it turned out looking really well. I'm quite happy with how it looks. So it just looks like the black hole's actually like sucking in like matter in a sense, and I think it looks quite nice. I'm quite happy with that. And then, as you can see, when you go in, you get sucked up, and it sort of like distorts the player, which originally was a complete accident how I did that. However, it does look a little weird because it sort of separates the trail from the player, as you can see. So I might change that. However, I do feel like it might be alright solely because it is a black hole. I feel like by like distorting the player and that, it sort of like makes sense that a black hole could do that. Just because it's like tearing apart and like sucking in matter. So other than that, I'm quite happy with how that particle system came. I'm really happy with that actually. And I've got to work on the new player. Um, I've got some music I've been working on as well on my laptop that I'll probably implement that, or at least implement a basic version of the music for my next week's dev diary. As for the rest of the game, I also need to create some better art for the main menu, because this is the original main menu for like the original project, which it looks okay, but it's not anything special, and it still has like some of the old art like this. Like for the like say the red crystal planet, I'm gonna redo the art, so instead of it being like like a planet with crystals sticking out, it might just be like a floating crystal. So I feel like that might read a bit better, I guess. And I'll probably want to do some sort of word art for the name. For the name Orbit, I think I'm still alright with the name Orbit, because I just feel like it fits the theme of the game, which is traversing through like planetoids' orbits. So I feel like the name works quite well. And I could imagine doing some cool word art, like putting the little like robot player characters like Yo or something like that. Oh, I also had a name for the little robot guy, because I thought a good name for it that linked to the space theme could maybe be like Comet, but because it's a robot, maybe make it like COM3T, so that like sort of reads as Comet. Sort of like C0M3T, sort of like that. So it reads as Comet. I thought that was a cute little name I could probably give him. So other than that, it feels good to be working on games again. I had a couple weeks after the whole like group work creating games where I was just doing some music and stuff. But it feels good to be making games again. I'm just looking forward to building on this concept more. Like as for level length, if I go back to the original beta level, oh, and that's the level I'm working on now. The original level, which looks a bit off now because I've like changed all the prefabs in that. As for level length, I'm thinking I'd probably say I want each level to maybe be a similar length to this. However, one thing I remember that was an issue with this level is I've also made some changes to the camera. I'll go over them in a sec. But one thing I noticed with the original level was it was quite easy to sort of like get lost or not know where to go. Because obviously me as the person that's created the level, I know exactly where to go. But I remember when I had one of my friends playtest it, there was 1 or 2 points where he wasn't really sure where to go. So as to resolve that issue, one thing I've done first of all is I have, compared to the original game, I've made the camera a lot more zoomed out. Just because compared to the original game, the player doesn't have to be that big on the screen to like see where you are, and by being able to see a larger range around you, I feel like it just makes it so you can find your way easier. And then a second thing I'm thinking of implementing for helping a player navigate through a level, because I want to make sure each level isn't just like you start on the left of the screen and just go all the way to the right, because it's in space. It should be quite dynamic. I think start a level you might have to be on the starting level you might have to be on the left here, and then you might have to go this way. There might be a black hole here. You might have to go up. You might have to go. So I want the levels to be very much not just a straight line. But then the issue comes, how do I help the player navigate through that? And the couple ideas I have is, first of all, just having simple, like, arrows in the background. Like, maybe just have arrows that are in the shape of, like, meteors in the background. They sort of point in whichever direction you need to go at the moment. I feel like that would be quite a simple solution. And another idea I had was adding a little UI sort of arrow that's sort of like a compass that will point at the like end goal. However, the only issue with that is, again, say the player is say the player is here on this planet and the end goal is up here, they might not know that because there's black holes here, they can't go this way, and they might not know that they might have to, say, go around this way to get up here. So I feel like that could be an issue with that. Unless I did some sort of pathfinding thing, but I feel like that would be a bit overly complex for such a small feature. So for now, I think maybe just having like background arrows to sort of like point you where to go would be simpler. Other than that, I think that is everything for this week. So for next week, because right now I'm still like redoing art and just adding little artistic things. Like I also added a trail on the player that you saw. Starting next week, I'd like to actually start building the first level. So for the first level, I'm thinking it's just going to be these planetoids and these black holes, none of the bouncing ones yet, just because I think it makes it easier to understand if I add one mechanic per level. Because like 2 games I take a lot of level design inspiration from is like Celeste and like Donkey Kong Country, where a lot of the levels in them will have a specific theme, and then that level will have its own specific mechanics. Like I remember in Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, there was a level that was like a forest fire, which was the theme of it, but then the mechanic was, as well as things being on fire, you could put them out with water balloons, and that was the specific mechanic and theme of that level. So that's just an example of how I'm feeling about my design methodology on like level design. Similar thing in like Celeste, how in the first level where you're in that like abandoned city, they introduce you to the like traffic light blocks, and they start off basic by you just stand on it and then moves, and then they gradually build on that mechanic. So for this, I'll just have black holes and planets are stationary, but then as you get further on the level, you know, you might have planets that move up and down, or black holes that move up and down, that sort of thing. Or just other obstacles that could kill you, like I might have like flaming asteroids that could come down from one bit of the screen that maybe you'd have to like try and time launching yourself through to get through. So other than that, I'm looking forward to just working on this game again. So I think this is a pretty good concept. So for next week, I'd like to have started building the first level, because I think finishing redoing these art assets shouldn't take me too long now. It's just finish this player sprite. I think finishing the player sprite, and then I'll probably make the main menu look a bit nicer, but that can wait. I can build on the main menu at any time. But yeah, I think that's everything. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all next week. All right, peace.